this concept that we, choose our life and choose our lessons. Do you think that you've chosen some big lessons, and so you've also chosen to have all this help, and that's what these altars are? Because they seem to be taking you back to the point where the trauma started, whether it be this life or another life, and that, I guess, is
I
clearing.
think
Yes.
I think there's one aspect of it is that the my family's generation didn't deal with their abuse and their traumas, so they've dumped it all onto me, and now I'm the one that went, you know what, it stops here.
Let's do it. Hello and welcome. My name's Campbell. This is Autodidactic, and we're back with Matt Black for another chat. We chatted a couple of weeks ago and got a really good response from the video, lots of questions. And of course, Matt has D.I.D, which is dissociative identity disorder. So there were lots of questions on that. The first time I'd heard of D.I.D was when I spoke to you. And that it used to be called multiple personality. Is that right?
Disorder. Yeah.
Yeah. I was just wondering, why did they change the name? Do you know? It's because to me, multiple personality is more something that's your brain going wrong kind of thing. Like it's thinking it's different people, where dissociative identity is where you're, I guess, disassociating with your identity for a while, as in, you're not there while there's another identity. I don't know.
Yeah. I think that's why they changed it, because as much as you've got your personalities going on, the main thing is that the main person, Matt, or whoever it is, has disassociated, and then an identity comes in.
Yeah.
And then that's the disorder.
Yeah.
Instead, I think it was too close to schizophrenia. I could be wrong here. Okay. This is where you need to do your own research. Because it's like D.I.D and schizophrenia are really close to each other. So I think they needed a little bit more separation.
Okay.
That's my understanding from what I've been told.
Cool.
I could be wrong, but
and also, when we started just before, you were showing me the picture behind you and saying that it was one of Sarah's creation. I can see Sarah. Is that Sarah up the top there?
Sarah's here. I haven't drawn in properly yet, but so I've done a learn how to draw with this bee down here, and then I started with the pig, but then I got carried away with the mud. And then last night I started drawing the pig. So he's got his little snot rockets going.
Nice. And of course, Sarah's into her pigs. We learned that in the last chat. And I was asking you, what happens when you draw that? Does Sarah come in and draw it and you go away? And you're explaining what happens. So,
well, when it's usually to do with the altar that steps in too. So Sarah will step in, but then when I disassociate, I'll go to her realm. It doesn't happen all the time, but partly I'll go to her realm and I'll see visions of her in her paradigm in her realm. And so I can kind of visually see it, and then the photographic memory part of me will bring it back to the realm, the three-dimensional realm. And this is where now I can draw it, which will then become a painting.
Wow.
Yeah.
So again, that's sort of like this quantum jumping theory, where you're sort of going to a different reality, getting something and bringing it back.
Yeah, yes. And I did that with the drum kit and the guitars, like a lot of things. And then I've foreseen future events in my life, and so I was dating a chick, but I seen her 2 weeks before she knocked on my door. I knew her age, I knew her hair color, I knew her smile and the dress she was going to be wearing. And then 2 weeks later, she knocked on my door, and I said this to a cousin, and she just like, ha ha ha, good on you, Matt. You're dreaming.
Yeah.
Because she was actually quite younger than me, and 2 weeks later it happened, and I went back to my cousin and said, guess what happened? So I see a lot of things like that as well. my support worker turned up late, which puts pressure under me to get to the meeting, which was an hour away. And put pressure on me. My anxiety went through the roof. But in the meeting, I was seeing people behind the person that was interviewing me.
Okay.
And I said, look, I can't do this meeting. I'm hallucinating. There are people behind you. Can we do this another way? And I told her the reasons why, because we were half an hour late. I said that was my support worker not supporting me, putting pressure on me, and that become a trigger, and then I'm gone.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Wow. Gee, I mean, one thing I do want to, mention is we have lots of comments about, obviously people think that you've got demons and things attached to you, but I mean, as far as I know, like, what I know about, all that kind of, archonic demon stuff is they have no creativity, right? But clearly you're getting a lot of your creativity through these altars.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Depends on which lens you have. I mean, if you've got a Christianity lens, then you'd think I'm possessed and got demons, so I need an exorcism. Yeah. And I've actually said that to a few of my Christian friends. I said, when are you going to take me in for an exorcism? But other I guess indigenous shamans. So let's talk about the Aboriginal realm.
Yeah.
So the indigenous shaman, they have my similar abilities too. And same with the native cultures in America and all around the world. But they're actually pulled up because we've got more information that we can bring back from the spirit world and share our knowledge with the tribes people. So this is where that overlapping of brain structures kind of happen. Schizophrenia, indigenous shaman and all that, we've got overlapping similarities. The conditions like indigenous shaman, D.I.D, autism, schizophrenia, they all got overlapping similarities, only by 5 or 10%.
Yeah.
But clearly I'm kind of overlapping with indigenous shaman, I believe, a little bit more.
And that's what the
because
prophecy side, or
hey,
is that like because of the prophecy you get sort of prophetic visions and things?
Way my brain wired up. That's something for a neurologist to answer.
Yeah.
Realm and go to into church, and I'd say okay. Especially in the 70s, I would have been like an exorcism case. There would have been a movie about me. And then, but if I sat with an indigenous tribe, they'd probably get sit me with the shaman group.
Yeah.
So
yeah. I remember there was a quote from a shaman back in the 70s, I think. I can't remember who it was. But basically, he went into like a mental asylum, as they were called back then, and looked around and he said, "What are you guys doing?" He said, in my village, in my culture, all these people would be the medicine men.
Yeah, that's right. And that they kind of get they get lifted in their society as like a pillar of society. So that they get looked up towards by the tribes people, but in Christianity terms, they'd treat you as an equal, but they'd look down on your condition.
Yeah.
I guess to try and get rid of these evil spirits. Where it's like,
So you were saying that traditional societies look at these things as a good thing, where Christians tend to see them as bad, right? The devil kind of thing, and demons. And I mean, it's interesting. One is it kind of shows you the mindset, right? One's like positive and one's negative, but like the more traditional societies see that you're in touch with good knowledge, right? Something benevolent, whereas the Christians see that you're in contact with something bad and negative.
Yeah, well, Christians believe that you only got one soul that can enter your body. Whereas other native tribes, they just take it on board as just a natural kind of way of having spirits or entities communicate with you, their knowledge, I guess.
Mm. Yeah. I mean, it's an interesting take, like it's one view is a bit more limited, right? Is there's only here and heaven and then I guess hell as well. Whereas the other viewpoint is there's a lot of different entities, beings, whatever, right, out there that we can contact, that we can get in contact with. Yeah.
Like, I guess Christianity, as corrupt as it is, like we all know it's corrupt. And this, oh, hang on, okay, I'll touch on this point too. I'll say this part and then I'll say the second part. So Christianity's got the middleman, and they want to kind of just have that controlling part over their flock of sheep. All right.
Yeah.
And people like me see through all that and just go, yeah, no. And then it's almost heresy to say that you've got two souls or live in duality or have multiple personalities. Like that doesn't fit their paradigm. But this is one thing that I've found out, and we all kind of know that's going on too. So George Pell got convicted of child molestation. What do you think they do that for?
Because power.
Like the powers to be, the higher ups don't want to be in the states that we're in. So they'll sexually abuse a child, right?
Yeah.
They form a brain structure like me, which is what happened to me, a sexual abuse. And then we can see beyond the veil and get knowledge from, beyond the veil. And then they use that knowledge for themselves to go, okay, well, what's happening? And, and so that's kind of part of the reason why they do it.
Yeah, right.
That's those dark art cults. They'll abuse a child sexually in that. So they form a brain structure like what I've got.
Oh, so the child does?
Yeah, the child will form and then we can see beyond the veil. And then they get knowledge from that child from the spirit realm. They use that for their own benefit and bugger the child. We'll just abuse that child. And when that child grows up, they get that child who's, 20 to abuse another child, and it just
cycle continues. Yeah. So it's like MK Ultra, like trying to fracture your brain so that other entities can attach.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, wow.
So, even though Christians think they're all good.
Well, like you
the
said,
ground level Christians are, but then you go to the higher ups, I don't thing to do with them.
It's like all these, associations and groups and stuff, the people at the ground roots are normally good people, but the ones ruling them are just evil, man.
Yeah.
All right, so I'll get some of these questions that we had asked in the chat from the last video. So number one is when the elders come in, where do you go? You kind of touched on this before, so what happens?
Into their realm, like I've just explained. Other thing is I can kind of just sit mid-universe is what I call it. I mean, everyone with my condition has got their take on what they experience. So this is my take on it. I kind of sit mid-universe, and it's kind of like a meditation where I'm just out of this hellhole, because usually when I disassociate, I'm having a trauma response, if you will. So it's to get me away from that trauma response. So I'll sit mid-universe and just I'll probably sit there with my spirit guide or the Arcturian Men. And it's just so peaceful. It's like, oh my God. And then it's like you're meditating, but I'm floating in floating in like the universe. It's really weird. But the colours I see, I'll have my eyes. The colours I see are more vivid than what I see in the real world here.
Wow.
Like the purples and the yellows and the greens are crazy. It's like I'm seeing slightly bit or different or a bit more of the spectrum, I guess, the frequency. Or I could have an outer body experience and just go astro traveling.
The next question is, why do you think Sarah is your main altar? You kind of touched on this in the first interview, but yeah, what's your answer to that?
From what I believe, she's been there the longest, and it's when the first kind of like real bad traumatic experience happened to me.
Because Sarah's 3, is that right?
Sarah's 3, yeah. So that's when that was when my first experience happened, shall I say?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then also when we had a talk with her in the last chat, she was saying that she was going to basically take your place, right? Be born instead of you, but she wasn't. Is it Michelle? She wasn't a Michelle. She was a Sarah.
My mother used to say to me that I should have been born a girl and I should have been a Michelle.
Michelle, yeah.
So instead of Sarah coming down, I come down. But yeah, I went back to when I was like, when I disassociated, I went back to being like an infant. And I was born within 6 months of my older brother. 12 months, sorry. I was born, within 12 months of my older brother. And my mother's perfect family was to have the boy, and I got in the way.
Yeah, right, okay. Yeah, just on that last point, was your brother abused, or did he sort of suffer the same childhood as you?
A bit of the physical abuse from the old man. He never got done with the trophy child syndrome, but I won't say the next part because it gets too deep and gets a bit much.
Yeah, no, that's all good, man. All right, so why do you think other alters are more shy than Sarah is the question. So I guess why are they background alters or, less mains?
Yeah, Sarah's my main alter only because she's been there the longest, but the other ones I think it's like triggers and activities that will bring out another alter. Whereas Sarah, I call her she's like my twin, I guess. So she can just go blip, 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 blip.
Yeah.
The other ones, so like Shadow Girl, if there's I'm scrolling through social media and she sees a nice dress, oh my God, let's buy that one. And then she'll start to hold my phone and bought dresses. Which is
Yeah, right. So it's a lot of the time it's just where you are and what's going on kind of brings me out. Because when we premiered the last video, you watching Sarah talk was actually bringing her out, wasn't it?
Yeah, I watched maybe the first 5 minutes, and then probably about the 10-minute mark, I knew from 5 to 10-minute mark, I was just going, oh no. I was almost having a trauma response because the stuff I was talking about, and then I don't even recall, I was watching the screen, but I don't even recall watching the part where Sarah even came out.
Oh, wow, okay.
And then I had a friend on the Oracle. She kind of was texting me to say, making sure I was all right and whatnot. And then I think about 10 or 15 minutes, the last 10 or 15 minutes, I could barely read any comments and I could barely type because my vision and that goes.
Wow. So
I just said thanks, I think 3 or 4 times to a few people because that's all I could get out.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, it really kind of shifts you.
Yeah, because, the alts are sort of saying themselves, and so they're wanting to come out and play, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah. And, of course, big thanks to Oracle in the last premiere. She did a really, really good job of answering everyone's questions, and she was really helpful. So thank you. All right, and sort of, I guess, that kind of leads into this question. Ali Miller said, what it's probably going to be hard to answer, right? And that's what we're talking about, but what's it like to live with DID, to have DID?
Yeah, it's confusing. Yeah, how do you answer that question? Oh man.
This is a thing, you don't know what it's like to not live with it as well, isn't it? So,
Yeah, it's answered all my questions from my childhood. It's like, okay, now I got the diagnosis. Like, oh my God, there it all is. That's why all these things have happened. So I'm glad that I've got the diagnosis and now I know what's going on. It's a blessing and it's a curse, because it's a blessing because I can do all this type of stuff.
yeah.
But my trauma responses are the curse. So, yeah.
So, do you feel like you've sort of lived half a life? You've got these alters coming through and living bits of it for you. Like, how is that?
Not really. I feel like I've experienced more of a life.
Yeah.
In good and bad ways. I've had more insights, I guess. That's what I call them. A little bit more experience than most people would experience, generally, and not necessarily in the three-dimensional realm.
All right, and we're back for part two. We had some issues with the internet yesterday, so it's now a day has gone by. And as you can see in the background, Matt's done a bit more drawing, or Sarah and Matt have sort of done a bit more drawing to the picture, and Sarah's now writing the pig.
Yeah. So, yeah, after I was getting pretty switchy yesterday when you left, so Sarah went straight onto the drum kit, and then after that, I started drawing, like me, Matt, and then switched up again, and then Sarah started drawing half that face, so she actually did it left-handed as well. Sarah's left-handed, I'm right-handed.
That's so weird. So when she's drawing through your body, she's using your left hand.
Yeah.
And you probably couldn't do that left-handed.
No.
Like when you're Matt, that's bizarre, isn't it?
It's something called cross dominance. It's a little. It's further on from ambidextrous.
Right. Wow.
Yeah.
And also, I wanted to mention that you've got a channel. I'll leave the link below where you actually do drawings. You sort of show how you draw, create all these images. So I'll leave the link below. Everyone go check that out. It's some good stuff, and you talk a lot about your condition and what you're going through as well. So it's very informative. I've watched a couple of them.
Cool.
Yeah. All right. So we have a few more questions we thought we'd jump into. So this one is, I'd really like to get Matt's take on entities, whether this is what alters are to some degree, or if he experiences them as when, as when he's out of his body, or just anything he's maybe gleaned from his experience. So do you see there's any difference between entities and alters? And I guess they're meaning entities as in entities that attach to people, and an alter, which I guess is something that comes through you. I'm not. Yeah. What's your take on that?
My alters are usually helpful. I've got most of them are really helpful. I've got probably not entered. Well, they kind of, it's a grey area as I see it. It's I call it the generational abuse that got handed down from father to son, father to son. And I copped that, and so I've kind of got that energy, which manifested itself into.
Yeah. Right.
I mean, I call it an alter, but it's possibly an entity that has attached itself, and that's the one that killed me, and it's called Swamby. He's a shapeshifter. He always felt suicidal after the old man started touching me up. Like he basically passed that kind of entity, if you will, into my system.
And so Scromby's one of the more nefarious entities who makes you want to do silly things, to harm yourself. And so you're saying that maybe he got passed down through generations, like through the abuse is how he jumps from one being to the next kind of thing.
Yeah. So I'll call that an entity or I mean, the Aborigines of Australia, and they get generational abuse handed down to them. You know,
Yeah, right.
so yeah, and it's all to do with the world wars. So World War One, World War Two, then my father come along, and then now me.
Yeah,
So, and it's all about men don't cry and toughen up and all that type of crap.
yeah, yeah. Well, they love to invert everything, right? How to
Yeah,
be a man, go out and abuse people.
yeah.
Um,
Get
I mean,
drunk first. You forgot that bit. Get drunk first and then abuse people.
yeah. Get the spirits in, yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's interesting after what you said about earlier or yesterday for us, you said with Cardinal Pell and what was going on there with the church, and that they're doing this to get access to basically the entities or whatever powers the entities have or knowledge and things like this through the children.
Yeah, it's the knowledge. It's the knowledge beyond the veil that they want. Yeah.
Wow. And
And because we can, like, I've seen things that have manifested. Like I've seen into the future. I've seen into the past. I've seen, like I said, that girl that I dated. I seen her 2 weeks before, and then knock, knock, knock on the door, and we met, and it was exactly how I seen her.
yeah,
So
okay, yeah. So that's
we've got that psychic ability.
yeah, and that's what they're after.
I guess it's the church just trying to tap into that psychic ability of others.
Mm. I mean, it's interesting because we hear a lot about these, ruling families and, bloodline families, and they all seem to be connected with this, ritual abuse, basically, don't they? So it's an interesting take, isn't it? That's because obviously there's a lot of speculation that they're controlled by other entities, and that would be how these entities are continuing down the line. So it's almost like the entities keep existing, but the bodies or the humans or whatever they sort of come and go, but the entity sort of lives through them all down the line. Wow. Okay, that's a really interesting take, isn't it?
Yeah. So it gets woo woo. A lot of people will just call you crazy after this, but then other people would just go, okay, yep, that makes sense. So, depending on which side of the fence you sit, that's kind of how it works, from what I can understand, anyway.
Yeah, cool. All right. So some of these other comments we've got about Arcturian Men coming through. I wonder if it could be related in any way to the way the stars can be seen through the dark part of where the moon is. Oh, okay. Because you talked about the crescent moon, and like we've got these pictures where you can actually see through the moon. Like when it's a crescent, you can see, or even when it's full, you can see stars through it. So I guess they're saying do you think that's acting like, well, obviously it is a portal of some kind.
Yeah, it's definitely a portal. It gets activated through. So that is a question that I got to go like that to. I don't know. I don't have all the answers. So it's a possibility, of course. It's just something I haven't looked into a lot. I just know he gets activated through a crescent moon, and away we go.
That's just bizarre, isn't it? So do you like? Is it every crescent moon? Do you sort of know he's coming? Like, do you watch the moon and like, oh, Arcturian Man's going to be here soon?
Not necessarily. Like I guess it's like that witching hour feeling. It's like something. It feels like there's a presence around me, and it's like, oh, hang on, what's going on? And then something will happen, and it happened when the last time it happened. Oracle was chatting to me, and I said to her, "Oh, is it a crescent moon?" She said, "Yeah." I said, "Well, that must be the Arcturian Man kind of, making his presence known." But when I go through his portals, like I go through portals they got their colours assigned to them. So the Arcturian Man he's got a gold and black portal. Talia, she's got the blue portal, and then there's I think it's a spirit guide. She's got the purple come orange portal.
Yeah, wow.
Yeah.
So the portal, is that the portal you see them coming through, or is that the portal you go through when they come in?
I go and that's where I time travel back to the past and see my past lives, interact with them, and then I can go to the future as well I got a couple of altars that are future altars.
Wow.
Yeah.
So is that a conscious thing? Can you decide to go back or forth, or is it you just get
Not
taken?
necessarily. No, it's when I have a trauma response and it's linked to that trauma response,
Okay.
and then
Yeah.
an altar will step in depending on the trauma response, and then yeah, if it's Talia, she'll take me through a portal with the Arcturian Men, and then it's basically I've just got to go and just like meditate and just kind of be centered.
Yeah, it's this concept that we, choose our life and choose our lessons and all this thing. Do you think that you've chosen some big lessons and so you've also chosen to have all this help and that's what these altars are? Because they seem to be taking you back to the point where the trauma started, whether it be this life or another life, and that I guess is
I
clearing.
think
Yes.
I think there's one aspect of it is that the my family's generation didn't deal with their abuse and their traumas, so they've dumped it all onto me, and now I'm the one that went, you know what, it stops here. I'm sick of like this getting passed down or getting shared to other people, like around you. So it's kind of enough's enough. So
Yeah.
there's that aspect. But then, obviously I'm a vessel for something or someone else to produce all this artwork.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
then my music, like, because one of my past lives, he was a Persian prince. So he would, every time I play guitar, I'm playing all these Persian riffs. I'm going, where's all this come from?
Ah.
So, yeah.
Is any of your music on your website?
I've got another website called Scarleton.
Skeleton. All right. Well, send me the link and I'll put that below as well. So,
Yeah.
and you've got a website, of course. We'll leave the links for that where people can go and
Yeah.
buy your art and check out all the stuff you do.
That's how it's spelled, Scarleton. So that's Sarah's last name.
Oh, so I
Sarah.
mean that brings up an interesting question. Like, where do these olds get their name? I mean, especially Sarah, if she's got like a full name. I mean, obviously Arcturian Man's a bit different, and
Yeah.
he's from. But where do they get their names? Do you name them? Do they name themselves?
No. See, this is what my psych said to me. He goes, well, what's her name? I said, I don't know. He goes, well, best you ask her. And then I'm like, oh, okay, that's a bit weird. That's, I'm talking to a ghost type of thing, asking her its name.
Yeah, yeah.
And sure enough, next time I said, well, what's your name? Like, how old are you and what's your name? And they tell you, it's like you're having a conversation now. It's like, oh, okay, fair enough.
It's so bizarre that, especially for Sarah, for her to have like an English Earth name, like
Yeah.
like where do you think that? And that's also the name. So this is because she was supposed to be you and or the your mother's daughter and all this kind of thing. So I'm just wondering, do you think that name is from her last incarnation or something, or is that one that she's just chosen?
It could have been either. Yeah.
It's an
Once
interesting.
again, like you ask me questions that I don't know the answers to. Like
Yeah.
I'm just like I just go with it. I just roll with the punches. And okay, well that's what it is then. And it's really clear. It's not like muddy and you have to guess and you're making stuff up and you're kind of imagining it. It's like, okay, well that's it. And then
Like,
you just
hi, I'm Matt, I'm Sarah kind of thing. Yeah.
yeah, and you're right. Like I write it down. That's why I was writing my journal down. I had to write all this stuff down because even Matt being third dimensional Matt that only had five senses, I was like this. I was even questioning myself. I was like I'm losing grip on reality here. I'm talking to alters that are telling me their names and their age, and they like ice cream. She likes the color red. I'm like, hang on.
Yeah. It's bizarre, isn't it? And so where does Sarah say that she comes from? I think we asked this in the first one, but
Comes from
you ever
I
asked
don't
her that?
know.
Oh, there you go. There's a question
I
for
th-
you.
well, from what I
I'm
know,
just wondering if she's in almost like an alternate reality as far as like a higher frequency,
okay,
as far as she could be in the same space, physical space, but on a higher or different frequency, so that we can't interact with her physically.
yeah, I guess it's the lens that you look at it with again.
I mean, it's all
Um,
speculation, but
so she could be a spirit that was supposed to incarnate, but she just waited her turn, and she's still up there waiting to incarnate. But
oh
she's
yeah,
she's obviously got a role to play with me still to help me, and so have all the others. Um, or that's probably my best explanation, I
yeah,
guess.
yeah. Yeah, no,
Um,
that makes sense. Yeah, like that she's just waiting for another chance to come up where she can. Well, maybe she's got to get you sorted first, and then she can come down. But yeah, that kind of like
but I think she's actually learning from me as much as I'm learning from her, and same with all the other alters. But my Reiki healer, well, doesn't like me having alters. She reckons that they should be on their own journey and they should be incarnating as a baby somewhere on the planet,
okay,
and that I'm like holding them up from their growth.
okay,
But I said, well, maybe their journey is to come down and help someone like me.
hmm.
Sorry.
No, you're all right. You're good.
Yeah.
Guess we shouldn't.
Man, I think I'm going to.
Yeah, no, no, we're talking about a lot of about them, so I'm sure they're trying to get in the
Yeah.
conversation. All good, mate. Take your time. Let me know if you want to stop.
Wow. Cambell Purposeful man.
Hello, Sarah.
Hello. Um, that's our base. We drew that one.
Yeah, Matt told me
Drew
you're left-handed.
there. Yeah. And we got to draw S's. We got to draw S's in there for Sarah.
For Sarah,
Yeah. Wow.
nice.
That's my hair. And we've got ice creams out in that one.
Oh, you like ice cream, don't you?
Queens. Yeah.
What
Wow.
colour's your hair?
It's blonde. We got blonde hair.
Ah,
Yeah. Wow. Oh.
did you hear
Yeah.
us talking about you?
Yeah. Yeah.
I thought you'd
We
come
need
and say hello.
to have a drink. We need to get a drink.
You need to get a drink.
Yeah. We're thirsty. Matt's been working outside and he's all dirty.
Oh, is that? I saw he's been digging a trench, hasn't he?
Yeah. And we're cleaning up the shed.
Nice.
And we played the drums yesterday when you gone.
Yeah, I heard.
Yeah. And we
Yeah.
got 3 songs done now.
Oh, really? You've written 3 songs?
Yeah, we got 3 more songs done. Like that.
Nice.
Are you gonna take us on a trip to Sydney for a talk?
We'll have to see. Would you like to do that, would you?
Yeah,
Oh,
we
okay.
can take our drawing there and people can see it.
Yeah, you've got very good drawings.
Yeah, that's our little cow. They're little piggies, and that's a pig. Have you been talking to Matt?
Yep, we've been having a bit of a talk.
Oh,
Been talking a bit about you.
oh. Yeah, we go with the spirit guide a lot.
With the what?
The spirit guide.
The Spirit Gate.
Yeah, spirit guide. She's very lovely.
Is that where you go when you're not down here with Matt?
Yeah. Yeah, she helps us and she helps Matt a lot. Yeah. Wow.
And that's why you come and visit Matt, is it? So that you can help him?
Yeah. Yeah. He needed help when he was 3. He didn't want to experience what those people did to him. The naughty people.
I'm sure. It's very bad, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So that's why you're here helping him, is it?
Yeah. That's my book. That's my book there. That's a
Ah,
good
the pig,
book.
the lost piggy.
We we read that one.
Did you?
Yeah.
Wow, that's cool. Are you going to write any other books?
Ugh.
You're a bit tired. Are you coming back?
Oh yeah, sorry.
No,
Well,
you're all right. Sarah just popped in.
oh, okay. Sorry.
You're right. Do you need a drink or anything? She said you were thirsty. Are you going? You're all right. Do you want to keep going or?
Yeah, I'll be all right. It's kind of good for me to talk to someone because it keeps me kind of centers me quicker.
All right. Yeah. Cool. I didn't know that Sarah had written a book, The Little Piggy.
Yeah. Oh, she's showing you that, did she?
Yeah. Yeah. She grabbed it from somewhere.
She likes showing people that book.
Yeah. She said that you've been wrote 3 more songs last night.
Yeah. Yeah, we've done all the drumming to 3 songs, so she's been doing that as well.
Yeah, and that's cool. I haven't heard any of your music. I'll have to have a listen.
Yeah, it's pretty heavy duty, so
Yeah, yeah. I've seen some of the clips of you drumming. It looks like it's fairly heavy. I mean, that drum kit though, you can't really, do jazz, can you?
oh, you can if you want.
But yeah, I mean, yeah. So, are there any alters that aren't creative? Do you find that they've all creative, or because even with the girl, I've forgotten her name, but she's got a guitar, and like some of them got guitars and things. Is
um, so Claire wouldn't be, but she's creative as a writer, so she's left-brained. Um, who else? Molly isn't. Molly's an experiment. Shay Anvia's not that creative, but he's like a green man. He's like a hunter gatherer.
okay.
He's creative in that way. Talia's not really creative. Um, who else? Jord, he's a dancer actually. He's a future life. He
Wow.
actually does classical dancing.
Fractal dancing.
Classical
Oh,
dancing, sorry.
okay, yeah, cool.
Um, just trying to think of the others.
So how many alts? I mean, that's a few. How many alters do you have?
I've
Or
got 15.
so Sarah's your main one, and the other ones, are they all regular, or is it like sometimes you might see one just once or twice and that's it, or are they all got a regular kind of input into your life?
No, Sarah's the main one. Sarah, Vampire Man, and probably Shadow Girl. They're the 3 main ones. But it kind of comes in waves. Like, so I hadn't seen Talia for a while, and now she's kind of starting to pop back out. For the last 2 weeks, she's been fronting a lot more.
Okay.
So yeah, and Vampire Man. Obviously, when I was drawing Vampire Man, like he was popping out a lot more. So yeah, it kind of, if I'm doing activities or if I'm kind of talking or interacting with them somehow, they'll come out a lot more.
You're right. And
Yeah.
do you see that certain ones come along when you're in certain situations? Like you just said, Talia was coming back. Like, is that because something's going on in your life and she's sort of there to help you with a certain aspect, and so she only pops up when you're going through those?
Yeah, I think she's starting to get used to a couple of support workers. So like Sarah's the main one, and then Talia will pop through and speak as a 10-year-old instead of a 3-year-old. So she can articulate things a lot better to the support workers. But then she'll come with me on runs as well. So she'll fly next to me on runs.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
So you don't need a
So
you don't need an iPod. Yeah, right.
yeah.
Ah,
But if I'm getting stressed, Vampire Man will come out straight away. Like he's the protector. He's the one that says, "No, enough's enough," and start getting like, "Stop," at people.
yeah, right. Okay.
Yeah.
Is he the one that's trapped between worlds, or is that someone else?
What's that?
Is Vampire Man the one that you said was trapped between lives because he has to make up for all his bad doings?
Yeah, yeah. So he's got to pay his penance for his bad doings for
So he's got to protect
whatever.
people now, basically.
Yeah,
Wow. And so you're obviously a very like driven dude person as well. Like you get a lot done. Is that the alters or is that Matt? And if it's Matt, is that because the more you focus on doing things, the less they're going to come in? I don't know. Why do you think that is? That's my question.
it's like my first diagnosis was trophy child syndrome.
Okay. Yep.
So that's me having to do everything like yesterday and be the best at it.
Yep.
Like that was the old man pushing me to be the next AFL star. So there's that aspect of it, but then I did have a second answer to that, the flip side of that. But yeah, to answer kind of like a question, like I will be doing something, but I will get overwhelmed by it. So that's when the altar will take over.
Okay.
So yeah, I've got to be careful. Like I've got a support worker with me now. He's just in the background here, but we'll cleaning the shed. Because I'll clean the shed and I would have forgotten this meeting.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
So I had to get a support worker in and just say, I will clean the shed in the morning. And when this comes on, just let me know at, 1:45 when it's 1:45. Because I would have just gone. And I did this disassociate in the shed.
So
So
that
he was at
so that means when you're cleaning the shed, like an alter takes over and they're cleaning the shed. Is that what you mean?
to a degree, but they'll stand in the corner and just lose time. That's where I lose time.
Okay. Yeah.
Like play with something like okay, I haven't seen this before. What does it do? And then try and figure it out.
Yeah. Right. 3 days
But
later.
that's where my support worker can pull me up. He knows that I've switched up and go, okay, who are you? Which one are you? And I think it was Talia. Okay, Talia, the shed now. Do you want to start helping us clean the shed? And the task
Yeah.
until I come back.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, it's interesting, isn't it? I was just thinking because Sarah obviously built the drum kit and everything, and so like with the car, I saw you were doing a car. I don't know how that's going. It's probably finished. Was
What?
that you or was that someone else, like an alter that wanted to do that? Because again, it's just this amazing project that you just do.
Yeah, with the complex parts of it, it was me because I had to really be focused in like, okay, I have to get this like kind of within 2 or 3 mil. But then when I was in that flow state, that's when an altar would take over. So that was that, and it still is. That was Shadow Girl's car. She was the one that pushed me to do that. Yeah, like when I was painting the car, Sarah just kept on nagging me. She was like, "No, I want to be part of the car. I want to do, And then kind of Shadow Girl was laughing and going, "Okay, well, we can include you somewhere else." And then so I did one half of the car, like one side is a mural of Shadow Girl, and the other side is a mural of Sarah.
Yeah, right. Wow.
So, and Sarah kind of pushed her way in to try and, I want to be part of all this,
Yeah, right. Yeah, it must be interesting. Like, yeah, it's almost like you got a family in your head, isn't it? You got it all going on.
Well, that's how they kind of say it sometimes. That's how they kind of like, your head family or your family in your head. That's
Mm,
how some of the support workers say. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, because it's just, you've got all these interesting dynamics going on, and yeah, wow. Very cool. So there we go, Matt. Thanks again. That was part 2. Everyone watching, leave us some comments if you've got any questions that you want answered. Matt's is into getting the information out and helping anyone, who's going through the same kind of thing. We'll also leave the links that I put under the last one if you want a bit more information on D.I.D, which is dissociative identity disorder. And thanks heaps for your time, Matt. And I'll leave all your links below.
All right. Thanks a lot, Campbell. Thanks for your time.
Awesome, man. Have a great afternoon.
Cheers, mate. You too. Bye.
See you, mate.
Down the street, horse stuffing with bare feet. Take a chance with a glance, put your soul in a trance. Drama, deep coma, snake drama, deep coma. Look at life in a dream, pretend now. Not to scream. Look at lies, do not fight. Otherwise, snake will bite.